good. That's the good news.
Oh, we're live. Okay. It's done connecting.
Yay.
All right.
It's always a moment of suspense. Is it happening? Is it not happening?
Good morning. Hi, it is Joni and Christy again, here for episode 4 of Yes and for Democracy. And today we are talking about contagious activism. The yes and is how do we bring in ideas? How do we bring in people? How do we bring in action? How do we create more enthusiasm? So, yes and contagious activism. Did I say that okay, Christy?
Perfect. And again, we're winging this, folks. Who knows where we're going, where it'll lead us. So, I was thinking about this whole idea of it can feel like we're doing something all on our own, and that can feel really hard. But when you show up at a protest and there's a bunch of people there, or you go to a meeting and there's people there all focused on the same thing, you suddenly feel not so alone. I have a protest I mentioned last week right down the street from me. And so I didn't have time to go there on Monday morning, but I had time to go by and honk past all the people. And I was like, I'm just going to go by and honk and just, cheer them on. So I go down to the protest and there's no one there.
Oh my.
Ah! And so, of course, I didn't honk. There's no one to honk to. And so I inquired and found out the time has been changed. It's earlier. We're in Tucson. Yesterday it got to 101 degrees, breaking a record from 1907. So it's hot when you're out there protesting. So that makes sense that they moved it. And I told a friend of mine this, who is a wonderful activist, and she said, you have to be willing to go out there and do it on your own. Ooh, how many of us are willing to go protest by ourselves on a corner? It could be intimidating. I mean, I saw a guy with a Ukraine flag in front of our MAGA representative's office yesterday when we drove by to the dentist. And he was there. It got hotter. He left by the time we came back. But here's this solo guy out there saying, I care. But we don't have to do that. We can get a friend to go with us. We can have someone support us in some other way, whether it's an encouraging phone call from someone saying, go ahead, you can do this, or bringing them along, or just going to be the honker. It counts. So this whole idea of like, oh, you see a little something happening, it can be contagious. Like, oh, well, if they can do that, I mean, if Ukraine guy can stand out there with his flag, maybe I could show up and just be standing there with my sign.
Yeah, no, that's great. It reminded me of last fall. I went to a one-day retreat I live in Maryland, so it's mostly blue, but there are red areas. So I went over to the Eastern Shore and I went through the smaller town, and in the town square, this was 8 in the morning on a Saturday. In the town square, there it looked like it was a husband and wife, and they were there with their signs. And so I was honking all the way through, but I thought, how wonderful. It's easy for me. Now I'm in not just a blue state, I'm in a very blue, I am in the bluest county in this state. So it's easy for me to be surrounded by other people who believe that. And I've also seen it in another place we often go in the state, which is a red area. It's part of the area that is represented by our only very MAGA representative. And every time we go, not just on a Saturday, there are people in this major intersection with signs. And we honk, but they get a lot of fingers too, but they're there. And even if it would be great to be brave enough to be the only person there, but just grabbing one friend makes it so much easier to do these kind of things.
And that's the thing for anyone who's not aware. I can't believe anyone would not be aware. But the No Kings protest, the third one, is coming up at the end of March, March 28th, all over the country. I bet there's actually going to be protests all over the world, I would assume. And you can go to nokings.org to look up a location near you. And you don't have to sign up and put your name in writing. You can, but you can also opt to just show up at the time that the thing is happening. So instead of showing up with one friend, you're going to be showing up with millions of friends. Of course, you don't know these people, most of them, but still, you're going to be in solidarity with a lot of people who are clear that what's going on is not okay with them.
Yeah.
And that momentum, that contagious activism idea of like, it only takes one to get something started, and then there's more, and then there's more, and then there's more. It just becomes so much easier to get things flowing, to get things happening, to get, rapport going, but also get news coverage. It just becomes something so much bigger than we are, which is taking a lot of the pressure off us. Like, you have to do, what are you doing? And people can be like, well, protests don't matter, which we could go on at length about how they do matter. For the people that attend, you feel like you're part of something.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like you're focused on something. And then people are seeing you. And there's also evidence, and you maybe could speak to this more than I can, about how it does shift things when people come together to do something in a common cause. It's not that suddenly everything changes, but change rarely happens like that. It's incremental. It's little bit by little bit by little bit. And then we're part of that.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Seeing it, this feeling like not just you're not alone, but the sense of normalizing how you feel is a big thing in mental health. To know that not just you're not the only one who feels this way, but that how you feel is valid because there are others who feel the same way. And that's important because so many of us have been feeling, isolated or lonely or helpless, and being part of a community is a great antidote to those kinds of feelings. And there was more I wanted to say here, but I don't remember.
Well, let me hop in then, because the thing that came up from you when you were talking about that is that starting to think of like the barriers to activism. So it could be that you're really busy, totally understand. It could be that you're emotionally overwhelmed. And that's something that there are lots of things you can do about. And I wanted to share, there are so many things I could share from the ancient healing art of Jin Shinjitsu. And let me just tell you that phrase so you understand what it says, because people are like, I don't know how to pronounce that thing. Unlike Reiki, where a lot of people know about it, Jin Shinjitsu is somehow a little bit obscure. So the first word is Jin, J-I-N. It's pronounced like the drink. The second word is Shin, S-H-I-N. It's like the shin on your leg, Jin, Shin. The third word is Jutsu, J-Y-U-S-T-U. That's the funky word, J-Y-U-T-S-U. It's pronounced like jute, like rope, and Su, like the woman's name. So it's Jin, Shin, Jutsu. But when you say it fast, it sounds like Jin, Shin, Jutsu, because you just kind of breeze over the last part. There are so many ways you can help yourself with this healing art, which is one of the things that's so lovely about it. I'm going to give you a very simple self-help that you can use that will help calm you, unburden you, make you feel more present, clear your head, and so on. So in this art, there are things called safety energy locks. They're these little spheres of influence, if you will. You want these things to be open. I don't like spheres of influence. Oh gosh, I just went into MAGA language. But then you want these things to be open so that energy can flow. And so if you hold this point on your cheeks, you can actually release energy and allow yourself to let go, and it's unburdening. And you can hold it for as long as you like. There's no limit to self-help. But can just really feel like, oh, I can be in my body. I can really be present. I can let the energy come down. In this system, you inhale up the back, you exhale down the front of your body. So you're You're allowing the energy to come down. So maybe you're overwhelmed about, oh my gosh, I'm not sure I can show up for a protest. All right, let's see if how much of that is just thinking energy, just anxiety, and bringing that down. And you can do it a few ways. You don't have to do both at the same time. You could do one, you could do the other. I even sometimes do both sides with one hand, just like, okay, I want to calm down. I want to be present. I use this one when I have trouble sleeping sometimes too. I'll flip on my side and I'll hold both and oh yes, I feel that relief pretty quickly when I hold those points. So just throwing that in the toolbox for getting ready to show up and be part of something bigger.
Now, it's interesting that, that point is also one of the EFT tapping points. And it's also in the Donna Eden energy medicine. That is one of the points for her daily energy medicine. And, speaking of, different things you can do, one of Donna Eden's things is also simple to do with take three fingers and your thumb of one hand, put it right there in your throat. And with the other hand, put it on your temple with your thumb behind and breathe in and out.
You mean? Behind your ear?
Behind your ear, because that hits the vagus nerve.
Ah, gotcha. Hey, look, we have a comment from my friend Claudia. Yay! How exciting is this? It's our first comment ever, so and she forgot this one action and she needs it today. This is very cool. All right, so those are just a couple of things, and we have tons. I mean, we could go on at length. We could spend hours talking about these things. Just a little something to kind of help us get through and help us stay committed and be willing to show up. I've been surprised. I've been reading people saying, people don't even know about No Kings. They don't even know what's coming up. And I would love for that to not be possible, so that everyone at least knows whether they are going to, you may decline, but at least if you don't know what's happening, you're definitely not going to show up. So making sure people know and sharing with people. Someone said yesterday they sent it to their entire email list. People that they're like, I may never have met you. I may know you casually, but I don't feel like I should omit anyone. I'm going to send this to everyone I know. And I thought that was amazing. I have not done that, in part because I know there's some people that be like, what are you sending me this? But I could certainly do a winnowed down list of people and go, hey, just checking in. Are you going to go do this thing? Just to see who might want to come along. I mean, that's part of what Contagious is when you invite people along. Can you come with?
It's funny because I think the people who are around our age may remember this commercial from when we were kids. I can't remember the shampoo. It might have been Prel, where they were trying to say, you tell two friends, and then they tell two friends, and then the whole screen filled up with different faces. And that's all it takes, is if you tell two friends and they tell two friends, then it is a chain that multiplies, and that's what we want.
I don't remember that commercial, but when you said that, I was like, wash that man right out of your hair. That's the one I remembered. That doesn't really apply here.
Well, it kind of does, but I don't think it'll work.
You're so funny. Orange hair. Yeah, I get it. Okay. So funny. Yeah, and then the thing I start thinking about is, how do you do that? Particularly if you're a person who's like, well, I don't have a lot of friends, and the friends I have, I'm not sure how I would ask them. And it may be that you're the one to be invited. Perhaps you find an organization that says, come on, we're all going to go, and we want you to come with us. It's just so much easier. I remember when I was in a sorority in college, it was like, let's all go to the football game together, and we'll sit together. And then the momentum's already there. You don't have to like work it up. You're like, oh, I just join in. And that's one of the beauties of No Kings, is everything's set up. There's organizers, there's even people that are there to help, direct people, and here they'll have water on hand and all kinds of. Here also they have a guy that brings signs that you can purchase. So if you haven't had time to go out and get paper, a poster board and pens and so on, you can just easily get one, and then you're good to go. there's a lot of support. It's really a lot of structure.
I love that story about the man who does the signs, because that's something that could be done anywhere. Yeah, I just love that. One other suggestion that I have, believe it or not, I'm an extreme introvert. And so it's hard for me to go into a group and alone, although I've done it a lot, but it's hard. It's like I have to push through something to do that. One thing that I found that's helped me is to have a role. So if you volunteer to do something with a group, if you have a purpose that is beyond going and holding up a sign, if you feel like you are somehow helping the group itself, the structure, the administration, that also may be a way for you to feel more comfortable in doing that.
The other thing about that's genius, and I've seen this in organizations that I've been part of, is that once you have some ownership of responsibility, you're less likely to bail because you own it. And if you're like the one you've said, I'm gonna bring a case of water to a bunch of people at a corner in Tucson, and it's really hot and you don't show up, there may be people that are having problems because they're not sufficiently hydrated. So committing really keeps you from that last minute of like, oh, I'm not feeling it. I just want to, there's lots of people going, like they don't need me. I'm just one more person. I'm gonna have a late breakfast and, just hang out. Instead, it's like, oh, I committed. Like there's something I want to do here that I have raised my hand, and now I've sort of said, yeah, I'll do that. And it's the same thing, I think, if you've committed with a friend, whether it's you're going to go work out at the gym together, or you're going to go to a protest together. You abandon your friend, and you may feel like, oh, I wish I had, followed through on my commitment and done the thing that I said I was going to do. And that feels good too. One of the things that I talk about in my work is how when we do good things for ourselves, it reinforces that we matter. And so if we've committed to ourselves and we go off and do the thing, we feel better about ourselves than if we have said we've committed to something and then we don't show up, and then you can feel less than. You can feel, oh, I let myself down. I wish I'd done the thing I'd said. This helps you like fulfill that and go through and do the thing. It's interesting thinking about like who might watch our videos. We were talking about this the other day, because are we really trying to reach people that have never done anything and are really trying to stretch to do something at all? Or are we really going to reach people that are probably committed, at least somewhat so already? And I think we're probably reaching people who are somewhat committed, because someone who has no interest whatsoever is going to be like, ew, democracy, like I don't want to even watch that. Like that could be stressful stuff in there, ooh. So I think some of this is, how can we do a little bit more? If you're already doing something, can we do a little bit more? Or even substantially more? And what does that look like? If you go back to the whole signs thing, I told Joni this story. I've been mentoring a young woman for about 15 years. I email her every week. This is just something I volunteered to do. And she admired one of my signs. I sent her a picture in one of the emails, and she admired one of my signs. And I said, would you like me to see if I can get you some? Because she was curious. Actually, she asked me whether she could get some. So I contacted our guy, and he's like, oh no, it'd be really expensive for you to buy them from the place, but you can get them from me and I will ship them to her. I was like, oh, this is genius. So I have now seeded 5, I paid for my treat. I have seeded 5 signs for this younger than I am woman in South Carolina. Yay, like how cool is it that there are these resist signs and so on, Ruth Bader Ginsburg signs, resist sign with a cat on it are going to be in South Carolina. They're supposed to arrive tomorrow. They're going to be there before No Kings. She can go take a sign or two, give a sign or two to a friend. Her sister lives there. Like maybe they go together and they show up, and here are these little dots in South Carolina going, this is what I believe. This is what I think. So again, that's like that contagious thing. For signs to go from Arizona to South Carolina for this to happen, and who knows where he got them from. So they came from wherever he got them from to come to Arizona. I just think it's very cool that this little thread runs through this common element of, let's collaborate. Let's all work together. Like together we have more power than the billionaires, than the bullies in the regime. This is cumulative, collective, collaborative, all the big C words.
Yeah, and I saw a video that was on Stephen Colbert. So it was Edward Norton on Stephen Colbert, and he was talking about a lot of this. I would recommend that clip, the extended version or whatever, because at the end he recited Walt Whitman, and it was, whoa, it was powerful to me. But one of the things he also said was, I think it was Arlo Guthrie, maybe. We're talking about how there's a seesaw, a teeter-totter, with one side that has rocks on it. And then we're on the other side with a basket that has sand in it. And the basket that has sand, where it's coming out of the ends of the basket, is going to have a hard time lifting up the rocks on the other side until there are enough people who bring a teaspoon of sand. And with enough people, with enough momentum, then that fills in far faster than it can drain away. And that is how we do this. We all come together with our teaspoons and put what we can, give what we have of ourselves and our thoughts and our dreams for what this looks like on the other side. And I truly believe in my heart that there will be another side.
I am right there with you. I mean, this is aspirational, inspirational, and aspirational for where to move from here to there. Heather Cox Richardson and Joanne Freeman often will refer to the fact that our democracy never worked perfectly, and it certainly wasn't equitable for all people. It certainly fell down in a lot of ways. But we can see a better world. We can see where we can head. Certainly, it's better than where we are now, since we've gone this far to the other side. But then can we go beyond and keep building and keep filling that basket, if you will, with our ideas, with our commitment, with our willingness, with our hearts open to one another in order to make this a new and different experience than what we've had before. This is also disturbing and upsetting, and can be something that make us want to go to bed and pull the covers over our head, never come out. But it also is really bringing home to us how important we are to each other, how important democracy is to us, how important it is for us to each one of us use our voices, whether it's voting, which is an absolute, please check and make sure you're still registered. If you haven't registered, please register. I know it's early, but in a lot of places, primaries have already happened, and ours is coming, I believe, in July. So, make sure you do that. But this piece of ticking away at what's, putting that little bit of sand in there. And I love that analogy, because I could think, how much sand, did I add any sand today? What kind of sand could I add today? Whether it's a little donation. We have a local publication called the Copper Courier. It's through Phoenix, but it's fairly local. It has some coverage for Tucson, and they say local papers are essential for democracy. I gave them a donation the other day. Like, there's my little sand that day. Sending off signs to my mentee, so to speak, in South Carolina. Well, there's a little bit of sand for today. Oh, look, we're having a podcast with our 3 attendees. Hey, 3 is better than 0. And, over time, who knows where that could go. But it just feels good internally to be able to speak towards the hope. And we probably will do a podcast about moving from the gloom and doom to the side where we can actually do something and take action. Because gloom and doom, it's sort of satisfying in some ways. Like, oh yeah, like I'm feeling something really intensely. It can be very addicting, but it also can be very incapacitating. Like, well, let's give up. Versus it does take a little bit of effort sometimes to be like, yes, and so heading toward, well, what can I do? What is within my power? What influence could I have? And what gifts or skills can I bring? We sort of talked about this last week. There's so much untapped potential. That's the part where I'm like, let's let's tap into that stuff and move forward together as best we can to do the things that are possible for us. It may not be imperative, but I would love for it to become our internal imperative to do what we can, where we can, and however we can.
And one of the things that keeps me going also is that whereas I may have the ability to climb back into bed and put my covers over my head, other people don't. And it's for them that even if I feel uncomfortable, if I remember the pain that other people are living through right now, it's like, how can I not use my voice? How can I not do what little I can? Because I don't know if my little bit doesn't lead to something more. We're talking about contagiousness. And it may be, I mean, there's studies that talk about how kindness is contagious, how gratitude is contagious. There's so many things, so many positive feelings that research shows spread. And if we can spread those feelings of kindness, of hope, of possibility for the future, and can spread this activism so that people feel not just empowered to take a step, but that they are part of something greater than themselves. And in that, there is a wonderful sense of, what am I reaching for? There's a fullness. There's a feeling that I am worthwhile and contributing to something that is worthwhile. And that's what I want to see. I want to see for myself. I want to see for you, Christy. I want to see for everyone who is participating in No Kings. NoKings.org is where you want to look. And if you sign up for a protest, my experience has been that it's just the people who are running that particular one who really are following up with you. Well, the organization overall does. But if you do that, then my experience has been they have resources for you. That my local people have said, if you want to sign, here are some things that you can use, and this is how you print them out and how you put it together. And let's take advantage of that.
Yeah, there's so much work been put in to create a structure that really will hold people and make them know what needs to be done and where it's going to be happening and how you can participate. And it's really lovely how they've set all of it up. I want to invite anyone who listens to this, and we've got 2 commenters now, to say if you're going to participate in No Kings, and if so, where, if you feel so moved, so that we can see that our message is reaching people and we're going to actually be part of this, that we're all going to be part of this bigger community and this shift, this transformation that's happening sort of as we speak. I mean, just the fact that we've started talking about No Kings, there's a saying in healing modalities that once you've contacted the healing practitioner, the healing has begun, because you've already decided that you want to do something differently. So here we are. If we've already decided we're going to No Kings, we're already sort of putting that energy out there of like, this is important to us. We want to make this difference, and we are committed, and we are not going to stop until, well, we're not going to stop, because I truly believe that we're going to transform everything, and it's going to be a very different world. It's taking time. It's very unpleasant, but I do believe we're going to get there. On that note, shall we wrap it up?
Yes.
All right, here's our outgoing saying, our outro. Let's turn hope into action together.
Together.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next week.